Welcome back to the Amin Coffee Chat, where we bring you inside our home to the conversations that Andrea and I have every single day about Everwood Reserve, our 32-bed memory care community we're building in Tomball.
Today, we are celebrating a big milestone. We passed 2 million in commitments for our project.
We have just about 10 days until our funding deadline, and we're excited to share some of the updates heading into this home stretch and a bit more about what's going on with the project. So let's get into it.
Awesome.
All right, coffee chat number 3.
Here we go. All right, I'm gonna start with a dad joke. Why did the coffee file a police report?
Why?
Because it got mugged. Yep. You're welcome.
Cheers
Take that
to that.
with you.
What's called an icebreaker, because we're still warming up here. But yeah, no, these are fun. It's been a few weeks since we did a coffee chat. So
Has it really been a few already? The time is just flying.
but these are fun. I do a podcast, which is a little more formal, but it's nice to just be in the living room hanging out.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. So the first thing that we were going to talk about today is our capital raise process and where we're at now and how far we've come and what has been involved in all of that. And I want to give it up to you to lead that conversation.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned in the intro, we passed the 2 million mark on our capital raise efforts. Our total target is $2.8 million. So it's a steep hill to climb, right? If you think about the average investment, our minimum is $50,000. So if everyone came in at the minimum, that would be a ton of different people. It's a big decision people have to make. So, we want to give people the time and attention that they deserve to make a good decision. But what it does is it creates an interesting time management puzzle for us, right? Like I still work full time. We're out there promoting and trying to generate interest in new interested investors. And then for each one of those investors, there's between, 2 and 3 touch points for them to make a decision. And once they've made a decision, there's probably another 2 to 3 touch points to go through the administrative process. So I share some of that behind the scenes just because it's been really interesting. Like time consuming, but not in a bad way, right? It's getting to know the people that are going to be invested too. We've already met so many cool people. A lot of people that have invested, are interested in opening their own assisted living, or they just have heard a lot about the asset class and they have a passion for it, right? So I think it's been a really cool discovery process just to get to know people, albeit again very time consuming. So that's been the biggest challenge for me. Is with the full-time work, with our kids, with anything else we want to do. This has been a stretch for the ages, but we're in the home stretch. When this recording drops, it'll be 10 days until the funding deadline. We are very confident we're going to make it. We've got a lot of great conversations going, and the other thing I would say about it too is that having all these conversations has been enlightening because you get to really hear what people are concerned about, where they might have gaps in their understanding of like what our plan is. And so actually every conversation I have strengthens our understanding of what we're doing, right? Because we have to be able to respond to the concerns people have.
Yeah. That's true.
You try and think of everything, but people ask good, thoughtful questions. Thankfully, we've had answers to those, but it's a nice way to also highlight different parts of the team. I think being able to bring you in for certain components of the care and the administrative process, construction, and like all the domains you own, or sometimes I'll call, Bailey if it's strictly a construction timeline question, or I'll call Joseph if it's clinical ops and like staffing question. So it's been fun to activate like the team and give each person an opportunity to like shine in their own domain. I think it's helped us settle into our roles better. But I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, well, I was just going to agree with you there. I was going to say the same thing. I think it's helped us create a team dynamic like before we've even started the real work. I shouldn't say that though, because capital raise is definitely real work, but like kind of, work with each other and learn that dynamic a little bit sooner on the front end. And I was also going to just add that, one of the most enjoyable parts of this process for me has been getting to know the investors and having the conversations that you're talking about, because it's been really refreshing to see that there are a lot of very impact-focused investors out there. And those are my people. I'm all about impact. and, knowing that our project is attractive to them and that they trust us and that they believe that we will be good operators, has been very humbling, and just getting to know them has been really honestly enjoyable. And it has brought up some great ideas for our new business, some things that we haven't thought about maybe before. And so being able to incorporate things that investors want to see in the business, being able to do that for them, I think is going to be really rewarding as well.
Yeah, I want to double down on that too, because I think there's the impact component. It's a beautiful part of this project. It's what drew us to it, right? It aligns very closely to something very personal to you, very personal to me. Um, and it's not a given, right? That like in this industry, we truly believe, and I think it has been validated by many other operators, that if you have the best quality of care, you will not only have the best reputation and be providing the best service, but it can command higher rates.
Of
You'll
course.
have less occupancy. You'll have easier time building a wait list. So the business really succeeds. If you make quality of care your top focus, the rest of the business really does follow behind. I'm not saying anything bad about other asset classes, but I don't think that's always the case in like a
Totally.
syndication. Like there are multifamily deals in which operators come in, they buy a building with tenants in place, and they basically have to displace those tenants, do a rehab, raise rents, and like you can make a ton of money that way. Absolutely, it's a great, incredibly lucrative business opportunity, but the impact component's not there, and it's nice. I think it's why we are doing what we're doing, is that we we should be able to accomplish every financial goal we've ever had and make the impact that we want to make. And that's just such a rare combination that, just validates why we're doing this. And then investors too, just seeing the fact that people get that, right? I
Yeah.
don't think I've had a single conversation where someone comes in and they're like only looking at profitability, only looking at numbers. The impact component is a consideration for people. So I really
Yes.
do appreciate that.
I have loved some of the questions that we have gotten. Sometimes it puts us on our toes in a good way and helps us think about things that even, some things that we hadn't thought about before.
It's pretty funny. I mean, like I've been on a little like podcast and media tour.
Yes, you have.
And for those who don't know, like I've hosted a podcast for almost 2 years now, 2 years in September. And so I've done my own show, and it, for anybody who's never been on a mic before, or isn't comfortable in front of crowds, I'm still not particularly comfortable in front of crowds, but I'm glad that, over those almost 2 years, I've been out there and getting a little more comfortable, because that's come in handy. I've been on, I think, 13 podcasts in the last 2 months, and I've done a couple in-person presentations in front of large groups, and we've done several webinars now in front of different audiences. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
are friends and family, but some of them are like total strangers that, they're investors, and they're very serious investors, but like we don't know them. So it's a whole different skill set to try and come and bring this in a polished pitch where we can really articulate the vision, the connection, the personal connection, the opportunity, the risk mitigation, like all this stuff, like trying to deliver it in a punchy way that people can understand and build trust very quickly. That has been, it's been interesting, but I think that we did everything we could to prepare for that, and thankfully it's been a good process, but definitely not an easy one.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, I give you so much credit for all the work that you've put into this phase, and thank you on behalf of the team. And I think we're doing well and we're on our way.
Yeah, thank you. And for anybody who may be watching this that has been part of those conversations, there's a lot of hard work across our entire team. There's a reason we have so many GPs. Like you've obviously been on so many of these webinars and calls. Joseph's been just absolutely crushing it.
Our team has been
Yeah,
amazing. I am so proud of our team and just the way that everyone has stepped up and come to these webinars in the evenings or in the early mornings. We thank you guys so much. Y'all are awesome.
yeah, a lot of credit to give around, and it's strengthened our team too, because I think it really
Yeah.
has let us settle into our respective roles.
Mm-hmm.
And it also is establishing that identity, right? As people like start to think of like each individual person and what they're bringing to the table. I think we've built a team that we're really, really proud of.
Yeah, totally.
So I think one topic too that for you is that there's so much like obviously if somebody's just kind of looking from the outside, the main stuff they're seeing right now is related to the capital raise.
Mhm.
But you have been doing so much behind the scenes to continue to get the business ready, build relationships, even working on all the construction stuff. Maybe you could just give us a little rundown of what you've been working on.
Yes, yeah, we've been keeping the train running while this capital raise is going in full swing. In the construction space, we've still been making progress. I mean, I think even 3 weeks ago when we had this conversation, we might not have even had 100% MEP planning done because there was a little
What's
bit of
MEP?
question, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing for the homes. So when you're in the planning phase and you get your layout, and then you have your engineers come and say, well, where are all the outlets going? And where is all the plumbing going? And all of those fixtures, and where's the access coming from the street? So that is like a huge part of the site planning for the homes, obviously. So, gosh, it seems like, it always takes a really long time, this process. There's back and forth. And then obviously, once you have these plans, then you take them to the city and you see if the city approves with that. And then if they don't, then you have to make some adjustments. There was actually question about the amperage that we would need for the site. We were able to keep it at the lower amperage, which means lower costs. And so now we've gotten through that hurdle. We have a flow test for our water pressure on the fire hydrants next week. We're going to be looking at final pricing next week as well. And we looked at the land clearing boundaries. We're going to keep as many trees as we can, and there will be a lot of trees left after this phase one, which is great. So it was cool to see that, laid out. And I think in the construction space, those have been the big things that we've accomplished. And then I've also, been networking here locally in the industry, going to meetups with like-minded professionals. And I have also been doing some trainings now for caregiving and for administrating the homes. So I completed 16 hours of coursework that is required for administrators in the homes. And then I also dove into an amazing methodology called the Positive Approach to Care that has been created by Teepa Snow. She's very well respected in the industry, working with folks with dementia. And I've been able to learn her methods, and it's really incredible the outcomes that can be achieved when you're using that approach to care with residents. And it's an approach that's becoming more popularized now, I think, as people are learning more about dementia and also realizing that the prevalence is growing. The industry now is ensuring that all professionals are being trained in dementia care, even if you don't work directly with folks with dementia, because it is so important. So it's really been nice to see that in the local community, kind of these approaches are gaining popularity, and sort of the old institutionalized and old kind of way of doing things. We're realizing things that we've been doing wrong, and now the industry is fixing those things. And to me, that is very promising and, makes me happy to see. And it's been really enlightening to be in these trainings and get to know folks in these spaces. We're actually going to be meeting with Teepa Snow's team this coming week to talk about partnership and how our homes can really be a leader in terms of putting this approach to work. So those have been some good conversations, and I feel like we're making good progress in those areas. And then on the side, I'm hoping to get my real estate license in the next couple weeks and take the exam. So we've been keeping stuff going.
Yeah, quite a lot going on. But I'll say just from the outside too, like watching you go through these trainings and learn more and more about this, it's something that like animates you. It really animates
Yeah,
you.
I love it. I
And,
really do enjoy it.
I could see certain people, getting into this because they see the financial opportunity and maybe getting a little bit down the road of planning it because they're excited about construction. But then you come to the realization that at the end of this, you have to run a business
Yeah.
and it is a very specific type of person. that, probably has the composure to really dig into this.
Well, I think that that's why a lot of people don't go into this.
Exactly.
I mean, you have your lease to operator model, and
Yeah.
that's different. And I think, that's one way to do it. The owner operator model, you really need to be interested and enjoy the care aspect of things. And one thing that I've really loved about it is that I see how my background in research and academia and what I have studied really is such a match with this and has prepared me to like really get it in this space. So I think
So
I'm coming in with a lot of knowledge already that kind of helps me to learn this stuff pretty quickly, and it all kind of makes sense to me.
yeah, why don't you talk more about that though for those that aren't as familiar with your background?
Sure. So, yes, for those who are not familiar, my background is in human development and psychology. So, when I was studying psychology, I worked in a neuroscience lab that was doing MRI studies. We were specifically looking at how, like, emotional load then impacts how people are able to function and perform tasks. And so that actually is very relevant to what we're going to be doing. And then after that, I got into nonprofit, and my expertise is really in developing and managing programs that enhance developmental outcomes for folks. And that's what we want to do with our homes as well. So it really lends itself to what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, it's interesting, kind of coming full circle from, you were obviously in academia for a long time. You've published, your own research. You've spent a lot of time in that space. And so to be able to apply it in this new context, that's also like something drawing from your personal experience with your family. It's kind of like tying all that earlier effort together with the purpose. And it's nice to see that come full circle. And then also that, again, it's not a given that someone could go into these trainings and feel a validation that, oh no, I found something that I really like.
Yeah.
But to see that it animates you and that you're excited about it and the impact that it can have on the quality of care, like that's another validating signal that I think is, at least from where I sit, really nice to see.
Yeah, totally. Definitely.
So the other, I think a couple milestones we maybe missed, we got an address,
That's right.
which we won't
An
share on this
address.
video for, and unveil that at the right time, but we have an official address, which allows us to move forward on stuff like the permitting.
Bringing over electricity,
Yeah.
or at least getting the contract to bring over electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. And then we also were able to finalize the negotiation for the release of the easement, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. Now that is done as well. And we are just waiting to update some meets and bounds for movement of an easement, and then the agreement will be done. And that took a really long time. So we're happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, the construction stuff, what the kind of point I think hopefully people take away is that even we've been under contract since the end of January.
Yep.
And there's been nonstop activity with the construction team, GC,
Rezoning
everyone,
was first.
rezoning. Like there has been so much moving behind the scenes. Like, yes, the capital raise is probably what's out front and center on people's feeds if they're watching, but like we are working so hard to make sure that when the loan funds and everything closes, that we're ready to get right to work. Pre-construction, I don't think it's something you and I knew the extent of
Yeah.
until we got into this, and just watching, our team, Bailey and Blake with Done Project Solutions, Chris Manier on Brett Shakavis's team. Like we have some like very experienced heavy hitters helping guide us through these through this process. And then you're of course like leading and making all the decisions and design, and it's just it's a really cool collaboration. And I think there's a lot more going on than probably meets the eye from the outside, but we're going to be in a really good position, to start strong once we close.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this, I didn't know all of the things that go into a development before you even close on it. And to somebody that's not in this space, it might seem strange and too risky to start putting money into a deal before it is finalized, right? But with development, you have to. That's like how it's done. I never understood that before. Now I do.
Yeah. I mean, we come from a background of rental properties where you put down an earnest money deposit, and, there's a certain point in the contract where that might become non-refundable.
But
Or
that's what you're risking. That's
Yeah.
all you're risking.
Right. Yeah. So
exactly.
So, you are putting money at risk. But in this case, as of today, I'm comfortable sharing this just so people understand the kind of emotional journey we've been on, right? Like we have over $150,000 of our own dollars invested in the project, and we have taken on almost $200,000 in pursuit costs, which if the deal falls through would be non-refundable,
It's
right?
just,
So
yep.
so we are all in,
Yeah.
right? Failure would be an extraordinary letdown for not only us but everyone else involved. But for investors, right, all that would happen in that scenario is they get their money back. For us, we would be out quite a bit, and I share that not out of anything other than to say that we wouldn't do this if we didn't have the full conviction of our not only our hearts but the strength of the plan behind it.
Yes.
Right? We would not have
Mhm.
proceeded to this point if we didn't believe truly from the bottom of our heart that we could pull this off and hopefully over deliver on what we've been talking about.
Totally. And if we hadn't put such a stellar team together.
Yeah, and we're very, very blessed to have the people involved in this that we do. We have some incredible perspective. Obviously, Brett and Laura are our guiding hand, and we're able to leverage their model and their systems. Our team will get to train with their managers. We have the Open Range Capital guys who also run Residential Assisted Living Mastermind, the RAL Room. Like they're bringing tons of perspective and experience in their entire Rolodex of connections in the industry that they met all across the country over the last several years. We have Joseph bringing all his clinical expertise and his healthcare experience. We have Bailey and Blake bringing their commercial construction experience. It's really it is a humbling thing to see. This started as an idea that we had almost a year ago. I think we were back tracing a little bit, and if everything tracks exactly to the current deadlines, we will close on this almost exactly. It's one day off from a single calendar year from when we first started having this idea
Mhm.
to when we close. So like
Yep.
that's a 12-month. It's probably the busiest 12 months we've ever had in our life. But it is quite insane to think about, what has happened in that time period.
Yes. And I want to say, now that I'm thinking about it, didn't we join the RAL room in July?
It was August is when they kicked off.
August.
Yeah.
So it's about a year since we dove into like this industry as an asset class. And originally what we were thinking is that we would do lease to operator. And continue that since we already have 2 homes that we do that with. And then it was the Action Academy trip in Tulum that kind of inspired me and got my wheels turning that maybe we could do something bigger. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to see that like exactly a year later, like this is where we are.
People often ask like, what gave you the courage or the idea to take such a big shot? It's no single thing, right? Like
No,
it's a
no.
combination of circumstance, timing, commitment. Like we fell in love with residential assisted living as an idea. The more, like you said, we were going to maybe just buy homes and kind of function more as the real estate investor and lease it out to an operator. But the more we learned, the more we fell in love with it. And the more you
Mhm.
realize how this idea, it does rally behind things that are very meaningful and important to you. And it
Exactly.
does enable the opportunity for you to not have to go and find a traditional W-2 job. And instead, you can put all your time and energy into this. Like we said earlier, we should be able to achieve every financial goal we've ever had by following this path, and also bring so many people in and deliver awesome returns. Be
Yes.
able to like bring other partners in with who will also. We're just able to generate a lot of value that is not just for us, right?
Yeah,
It's for
exactly.
we have 15. We'll probably have 15 people at least on our payroll once this is up and running, like adding jobs to the local economy, adding like,
Once we're stabilized, we're going to have a lot more than 15 on our payroll.
yeah. So it's cool when you think about like, okay, we're making a net positive impact on the community.
Yes.
And I love rental properties. I love real estate investing. We're still going to have that as part of our life, but I think we can measure this in a way that's a little more tangible to us. And it fills our cup in more ways than just the financial one, that's for sure.
Yes. And yes, this project, if we succeed with this, it will be more rewarding in every way than a W-2 job, really. Fulfillment and monetarily. So,
Yeah. Well, that's about what's going on. It's funny. We're nearing the end of one sprint, which will only kick off the beginning of another.
yep.
So once we're done with the capital raise, we will,
Then the real hard work begins.
yeah, we'll push all the final bank loan docs and processing over the finish line, and then we'll move on to funding. And once funding, it'll be kind of like the start of another race where that's when construction, we're on the clock and we got to really manage that schedule. But it's been a wild ride so far, and I imagine it will only continue to be more and more exciting and challenging. But here we are. We're still standing. or sitting in this case, but
We're still upright
yeah, we're still upright and plan to be for the foreseeable. So
and we still love each other.
we still love each other. That will never change. So
Cheers to
awesome.
that.
Cheers. Catch you next time.
Thanks for joining, guys.